Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from skiessentials.com. We're here again to do another comparison article. 2 weeks ago we took a look at some men's all-mountain skis in the 90mm range. Some were a little narrower, some were a little wider. This week we're going to do kind of the same thing, but this week we're going to focus on what I consider freeride or all-mountain freeride skis. These skis kind of hover between I think the narrowest ski we have up here is 105mm, and the widest would be the DPS Wailer at 112. But yeah, I think we've got a nice selection of freeride skis here. A lot of different shapes, a lot of different constructions within this grouping. So I think it's going to be kind of fun to go through and talk about the differences and similarities and who they might be best for, that kind of stuff. So here we've got 10 2018 freeride skis. They're all men's skis with the exception of this orange ski from Volkl. That's the women's graphic of the 108. And the only reason we have that up here today, not the men's, is that we're temporarily sold out of the men's 108. We certainly will be getting more, but luckily for us in this scenario, that is the same ski, both in shape and construction as the men's. So perfectly acceptable to talk about that and use it as a placeholder of the men's. So yeah, let's jump in, and just like last video, the 2 weeks ago, all of these skis were included in our 2018 ski test. So we're going to leave links to those more kind of in-depth responses. You get to read feedback from multiple different testers. So really cool. We'll leave all that info in the description to this video, as well as links to the skis on sale. And some of these we've actually done longer, in-depth video reviews of as well. So click through to the article to get those links. Those will not be in the video description. But yeah, let's jump right in. The first ski that we're going to talk about is the 2018 Rossignol Soul 7. The Soul 7 is kind of one of the flagship models in this category, I would say. And for 2018, it's new. It's undergone a change in the shape and the construction. So big thing with the Soul 7 HD is it's very approachable. It's a high-performance freeride ski that's super versatile and can tackle a ton of different kinds of terrain. But as we go through, you'll hear me say that certain skis require a little bit more aggressive skier than others. The Soul 7 is definitely one that can be skied by, advanced intermediates even, can handle this ski. So basically the gist of it: camber underfoot, rocker in the tips and the tails, significant amount of tip rocker, and quite a lot of early taper as well in the Soul 7. The tip, they use Rossignol's Air Core. It's the 2.0 version of the Air tip. Essentially, it's got these reinforcements that run through the tip and now integrate into the core of the ski. The shape did change too, but it was pretty subtle. So really responsive. The Soul 7's really quick. Like I said, very user-friendly, pretty approachable, but still, especially in this 2018 ski, it's still pretty powerful. It can hold an edge on groomers. You hear us talk a lot about Rossignol's carbon alloy matrix material, which remains in this ski from 2017, carrying over to the new 2018 ski. So the amounts of early taper in the tips and the tail, that's one thing that you'll notice as we go through. It really boosts maneuverability in soft snow, variable conditions. It makes it a little bit less catchy. It does kind of, on the other end of the spectrum, you're not getting tremendous amounts of float out of the tips and the tails. But very maneuverable, super fun ski. You see a ton of them on the mountain, and you certainly will continue to. Another new ski, obviously the Soul 7's been around, but that one's new. The Core 105 from Head. I think this is a great great next ski to talk about from the Soul 7 because it retains some of the things that the Soul 7 is known for. It does have a fair amount of early taper, maybe not as pronounced as in the Soul 7. Quite a bit of tip rocker as well. A little bit more subtle, both in taper and rocker in the tail, but it's there. And the Core 105 is another, and this is going to be a theme that we carry through this, another that's designed to be lightweight while still being powerful. They do it in a little bit different manner than Rossignol. Essentially, this ski has a bunch of elements in it. It's graphene, choroid, carbon, and all wrapped around a Karuba wood core, which is very light. It's also got a new top sheet kind of methodology. It's not a traditional top sheet. They've actually kind of eliminated the traditional top sheet material and just kind of printed the graphic right into the ski itself. So that's actually taken more weight off it as well. I would say the Core 105 has a little bit more, leans a little bit more towards kind of the typical Freeride feel. It does, that early taper is still there, so it's still very, very maneuverable, and it's pretty impressively lightweight. If you haven't gotten your hands on a pair of these, check them out. Really cool ski. And check out what our testers thought. I personally, I think it's one of those skis that it looks like it should have metal in it. You know, the kind of blacked out design or blacked out graphic with the neon green accents. Kind of like has that metal vibe. And even when you're skiing it, it feels pretty burly. It's definitely still quick, easy to throw around. Maybe not quite as quick as the Soul 7, but you know, right there, very kind of. I consider those skis pretty similar to each other, especially just among this group. Next ski is the QST 106 from Salomon. So very, very similar waist width. The Soul 7 is 106, I believe. The Core is 105. So another kind of 106 ski here. The big difference with the QST coming off those two skis, significantly less early taper in the tips. I don't know if you can see it. You should be able to, but it basically, if there is any early taper, it starts about there, whereas on the Core, it starts pretty far down the ski. On the Soul 7, it starts really far down the ski. So, less early taper, that means you get longer edge contact, especially when you're on firm snow. So, still a really playful ski. Salomon uses a strip of metal down the middle, and their CFX superfiber, which is carbon and flax woven together. So some similar goals as the previous two skis that we talked about, but there's metal in it, so you get kind of that traditional damping feel from metal that we're seeing some companies trying to achieve with other materials. But you know, metal is proven to do that job, smooth out the ski, make it very damp. So I would say the QST 106, it's kind of one of those skis that can like charge through crud snow. It stays pretty stable, even though it is designed to be light, or to be as light as possible while still getting that performance. It tracks really well. It stays calm and quiet, but it does have that nice powerful feel from the metal, but not like it has two sheets of metal, so it's not super heavy. Definitely carves a better turn, I would say. Sure, you could argue with that depending on ski style, but you get that longer edge contact on firm snow. So when you're back on the groomers or back on the cat track, you can carve some turns on the QST 106 for sure. The K2 Marksman is next, and you know, when I was writing this article, these first three skis, to me, they're pretty similar. Similar waist width, similar goals, I think. Maybe the Soul 7 and the Core kind of focus on maneuverability and pure off-piste performance more than the QST, but I do think they're very similar, those three skis, when you come down to performance and where you're going to take them. The Marksman, on the other hand, is definitely different, but you know, it's important ski to note, and it definitely fits in this category. So the big thing about the Marksman that really sets it apart from the other skis that we're going to talk about is this asymmetrical side cut, which I hope you can see. We've talked quite a bit about this ski. We did a full-length review on it last season because it's pretty unique. It's got this asymmetrical side cut, so basically when you're in soft snow, the way that your skis flex when you're skiing powder, unless you're unbelievably balanced and weighting both skis perfectly in powder, which is almost impossible, the turn radius of symmetrical skis, so take any of these other skis, put them in soft snow, and make a turn, the effective turn radius of those skis, the inside edge of one ski and the outside edge of the other ski, they don't actually match. It's kind of a complicated theory, but they don't. Because of the way that you're flexing and bending and weighting those skis, they don't actually match. This asymmetrical side cut, it's designed to actually provide matching turn radii when you're in soft snow. So kind of focuses more on pure powder performance than any other of these skis, which I don't know if you can say that really, but I just did. But some of these skis are wider, so you could say that they focus on powder for those reasons. But the shape of this ski, it's really designed to boost performance in powder. Pep Fujas, who's kind of a legendary backcountry, freeride, freestyle type skier, he helped develop this ski. Another thing that sets it apart, and something that we're sure that he had influence of, it's more of a twin tip than basically anything else on the wall behind me. So a little bit more playful, kind of designed for that backcountry jibber type skier. And it is, I'm going to confidently say, although I haven't looked at the sidewall of every single ski on the wall, I believe this is the only ski that comes with a true center mount point. So K2 gives you this 0, which is true center. You can see it balancing on my hand. And then they also give you a negative 7.5, which is more of a traditional mount point. But you know, way different shape than what we're looking at elsewhere here. Pretty similar construction in this ski and the Atomic that we're going to talk about next. They both use a wood core, and then they have carbon stringers that kind of add in some energy. So we'll take it right into the Backland FR109 from the Marksman. Another one that's pretty unique, this time in the sense that it uses horizontal rocker in the tip. They call it Horizon Tech. And basically, I'll get a closer shot of this because this might be blurry. But the sides of the tip are actually rockered themselves. And think of it like a boat hull. That's what it reminds me of, at least. You know, powder snow, true powder snow, really mimics fluid dynamics more than like a carving ski on a firm icy slope does. So this Horizon Tech, not only does it give it better float, but it gives the ski better tracking in true powder snow. It's not going to wander like some other skis do. So the Backland FR109 is very unique in the same sense that the Marksman is unique. The Marksman uses that asymmetrical side cut, where the Backland FR109 uses this kind of horizontal rocker, the Horizon Tech. Really cool ski. Both of these I would think are great choices for a skier that's looking for a ski in this category, but leans more towards consistent use in soft snow. These three skis, they have pretty, I would say, more versatile performance characteristics, even if it's subtle or slight. You know, I think the Backland FR109 is one that it's a little bit more versatile than the Marksman, perhaps, but a little bit more, leans more towards use in soft snow. There is a subtle twin tip on it. I did want to note that. It's not quite as pronounced as the Marksman, but it is there, so it draws a little bit of influence from that world as well. So next up is the Blizzard Rustler 11, another new ski for 2018. The Rustler 11 is the wider of two models. There's a Rustler 10 as well. But this is one of the widest skis on the wall at 112 underfoot. pretty cool ski. We're pretty excited about it. A couple of our staff members spent a lot of time last year skiing the Rustler 10 and really enjoyed it. But basically this replaces the Blizzard twin tip collection, which had the Peacemaker and the Regulator and the Gunsmoke. So it's trying to retain some of that more playful, easygoing freeride nature that those skis had. But it's no longer a twin tip in traditional sense. There is quite a bit of tail rocker in this ski, but I don't call it a twin tip. You can make your own assessment, but to me it's not. It's a directional ski. The mount point is very directional. But really cool. This is one that uses partial sheets of metal. If you can see it in the top sheet, basically you've got full width metal underfoot, and then it tapers as you reach the tip and tail. So great stability underfoot, and then it actually effectively reduces torsional stiffness in the tips and the tails. So a little bit more forgiving, and also a little bit easier to enter into a turn. I think the Rustler 11, you know, when we start getting up to 112 underfoot, for a lot of people that's a pure powder ski. So I know it's only 3 millimeters wider than the Backland FR109. I'd say that's another one that you could probably put into that pure powder category. But for some reason the Rustler with its big fat tips and tails is more of a powder ski shape to me. The metal is going to be great for skiers who are a touch more aggressive or are used to having metal in their ski, kind of in the same sense as the QST 106. So pretty exciting stuff from Blizzard this year. They redid a bunch of their existing skis like the Brahma and the Bonafide and skis like that. They're all kind of slightly tweaked for this year, and they've got this whole new Rustler collection, which is pretty exciting. So check them out. Unidirectional carbon in the tips and the tails as well. So a lot of technology into that ski. I think it's a great shape. If you want full width tips and tails, you know, full edge contact, pretty much anywhere you are. Great float out of the Rustler 11. That's a really good choice. Next we have the Ranger 108 Ti. Easily one of the lightest skis on the wall behind me. This does use metal. It uses Fischer's AirTech design or construction technique, and we see it in a number of their skis now, and they're really starting to develop a following. So you get this carbon nose. It's really, really thin, which is part of the reason why this ski is so light and relies on that carbon to kind of retain the energy and torsional stiffness up there. And then there's metal integrated into this AirTech core. So one of the things that I like to note about the Ranger is it's got an integrated skin attachment point in the tail. So to me that's a real nod to the intended use of this ski. Definitely strong enough, definitely powerful enough to be skied in the resort, but light enough to act as an alpine touring ski as well. It's vertical sidewall underfoot that tapers as you get to the tips and tails, so a slightly more forgiving feel in the tips and tails, similar to what we said about the Rustler 11 with that partial sheet of metal. This is more coming from the actual design and shape of the ski. It's definitely a directional ski, unlike some of these that kind of blur the line with twin tip or are twin tips. The Ranger 108 Ti is not, so if you prefer a directional ski, more of a traditional feel, a traditional shape, this is a great one. I wouldn't call it much early taper in the tip, really none in the tail, unless you considered that very, very last bit early taper, which I don't really. But finishes a turn really well. There's not a ton of tail rocker in it. Pretty powerful. You know, when we did our ski test, there were some people ripping that ski on groomers, getting it to really lay over and make some impressive turns. So a great one if you want something that's ultra lightweight, but still powerful. And yeah, I think the skin attachment point is a nod to the fact that you could definitely use it as an AT ski, which you could say about a lot of these skis, but that skin attachment point is pretty interesting that they include that. Next ski, this is the Volkl 108. I'm going to say it's relatively similar to the Ranger in the sense that it's definitely directional. They also share a waist width. They share that 108 millimeter waist width. Little, you know, the big unique thing about the 108 is it's the only ski on this wall right now that's full reverse camber. So we did another full review of this ski. I personally was pretty impressed by the performance of this ski. I think it's definitely the highlight of it, which I'm sure you could say this about all these skis, is its performance in off-piste snow. I found this ski really likes variable snow conditions. It stays pretty calm and quiet through just about anything. It uses Volkl's 3D Ridge technology. There's more fiberglass in it for 2018 compared to previous years, so a little bit more powerful. It gives it a little bit better edge grip. One thing to note about the 108 is when you are trying to carve a turn, you really have to give it some skier input. Basically, you're going to have to get it to flex past its already rockered position. And if you do that, then it'll give you some snappy performance. You know, it's the same construction that they use on their RTM carving series. So it's got some power. I think this is another one that would be great as an alpine touring ski. I think that's something that we said quite a bit when we did the full review of it. But similar to the Ranger in the sense that, you know, directional, pretty lightweight. There's no metal in the 108. Instead, they focus on that 3D Ridge design and the fiberglass and carbon. But pretty cool ski. Outside of the fact that it's reverse camber, I would say it's ultimately pretty similar to the Ranger, although they do have a different feel. The Ranger's got maybe a little bit damper feel because of that metal. Next ski is the Wailer 112 Alchemist, which you pick this thing up and it's insane. This ski is super light. I would say this is one of the skis on our wall that could almost be considered a pure powder ski. It does have that 112 millimeter waist width, lots of tip and tail rocker, and lots of early taper as well. So if you remember when we were talking about the Soul 7, all that early taper, the DPS is a similar design. So ultra maneuverable in soft, deep snow. The tips and tails don't have that huge amount of float, although if you see right there on the DPS, that is super wide. So you do still get plenty of float out of this ski. It's 112 underfoot, so it's got a lot of surface area right underfoot. And this new Alchemist construction is insane. It's basically vibration-tuned aerospace-grade carbon fiber in this ski, which we understand to be significantly different than a lot of the carbon that we see used in skis. Unbelievably quiet for how light it is. It's surprisingly damp when you ski it after you pick one up and kind of toss it around a little bit. So unbelievable weight, unbelievable performance out of the Wailer. You definitely are going to open up your wallet because that vibration-tuned aerospace-grade carbon fiber seems to come with a high price tag. That's the only ski on this wall right now that hits a mark over $1,000. But you know, if you want the lightest powder ski you can get and still powerful, quiet performance, it's a great ski. It's not going to be a good choice for somebody that likes that full tip and tail width, which brings us to the last ski, and it's certainly not the least. Way different than the Alchemist. So after I had that in my hands and then picking up this new Nordica Enforcer 110, this ski uses 2 sheets of metal, kind of along the traditional Enforcer line. If you're familiar with the Enforcer 100 and the Enforcer 93, both those skis use 2 sheets of metal. This thing uses full width tips and tails, quite a bit of tip and tail rocker. You could almost call it a twin tip. I'll go out on a limb and call it a twin tip. So I think it's going to be a favorite among skiers that like 2 sheets of metal in their skis. You're going to want to be relatively aggressive to get on this ski. Although it's a little bit more forgiving than some other skis with 2 sheets of metal. Because of this rocker profile, it's not an outrageously long turn radius. I believe this is an 18.5 meter turn radius. Yep, and the 185 centimeter length. So still relatively maneuverable, but damper, quieter, probably a little smoother than most skis on this wall behind me. You're going to sacrifice a touch of quickness, but you're going to get that smooth, powerful feel, and lots of rocker, lots of width, so plenty of float in the Enforcer 110. So I know there was a lot of info there. I know a lot of these skis are very different from one another. Hopefully that helps some of you kind of determine what freeride ski you might want if you're in this market. Definitely let us know if you have any questions. There's more in this category for sure. So if there's something that you're wondering about that's not up here, let us know. If you think I glossed over something or missed something, or if you're wondering more direct comparisons, say you're wondering how the Ranger compares to the Core in a specific skiing scenario, let us know. I'm more than happy to answer those questions as best we can. And the skis on this wall that we haven't done a in-depth, longer on-snow review, we will try our best to get on them and do that this season. So keep checking back, check the YouTube channel, check Chairlift Chat, and we will keep going with these comparison articles. And as soon as the snow starts falling, and well, let me back up, it snowed on Stowe last night, so we're pretty excited. But as soon as the lifts start spinning around here, we will get on snow and do some on-snow reviews. So let us know if there's a ski on this wall that you really want us to get out and ski a little bit more, and let you know what we think. And until then, keep doing those snow dances, and we will see you guys on the slopes eventually.